Much better.
Yeah, even though the new BMW 4 Series has been out for over a year now, people are still umming and ahhing about the new design. And for good reason. I mean, it looks like they designed the whole front of the car, got it just as they wanted it, and then went, actually, nah, that looks too pretty. We can't have it looking better than the 8 Series, can we? You know what? Just make it look like it's been bumping lines since the 70s. Yeah, nice one. Cheers. In all seriousness though, apart from the snorty looking fascia, this 4 Series is said to be a big step up over its predecessor, so let's take it out onto some British roads and see what's what. My name's Tom, and you're watching Paragon Cars. Let's go. We're on Instagram, so if you want to see our latest and greatest stock, daily updates and behind the scenes footage, click the link in the description to follow us now. Okay, enough about looks for a sec, because this 420i now uses the B48 inline 4, which may not sound like a big deal, but it shares its architecture with the very well established B58 inline 6. That means reliability and tunability should hopefully be up over the previous N20 engine that was in the older BMW 4 Series. The B48 in this makes 184 horsepower and 300 Nm of torque. Perfect for daily driving, right? Well, like many of us through lockdown, this BMW 420i has put on a few extra kilos, which means its power to weight is actually 4 horsepower less. Yeah, not ideal. Anyway, let's see how she does on our 30 to 70 sprint. Well, even though its power to weight is lower than the previous generation 4 Series, it was very slightly quicker. I have to say the B48 does seem to have more oomph than the figures would suggest though. In terms of time, we managed 7.36 seconds, which is fine for daily driving. However, the equivalent 3 Series was a tad quicker due to it being just a bit lighter on the scales. Anyway, let's check out the inside, as these new G-Series BMWs are truly impressive. In my mind, this is a big step up over the previous generation car. It's more modern, the design is more interesting, and yet it's still just as easy and practical to use. Also, I have to say the build quality is second to none in this thing. BMW, I take my hat off to you. Even the rear is just about comfortable enough for an adult at a push. Legroom is similar to that of a VW Golf, and headroom is just about okay for anyone under 6 foot. And I mean just. To put it in perspective, it's fine for just about a 45-minute journey. You even get your own climate control and an armrest with tucked away cup holders. Really not bad if you ask me. The boot has more room than Mercedes C-Class, but slightly less than the Audi A5. The general shape is very good though, so you'll easily fit a weekly shop or enough suitcases for a weekend away. With the seats down, you don't get a load lip either, so sliding longer items through is an absolute breeze. Right, let's get on the road, as I've heard some good things about this G-Series 4 Series. Fighting the steering there. Come on, turning to a corner. Oh, rapid gear change. And there we go. We're at 70. The steering is just, it's all over the place. Like this, having to slow down a bit. Whoa, I'm glad I did. Downshift into third, hard on the brakes. Whoa. So today this is going to be like kind of a comparison between this 4 Series and the 320i we reviewed a couple of weeks ago. If you want to go see that review, by the way, I will put a link in the top right hand corner. But main differences, if I haven't mentioned them in the intro, is that this has a slightly wider track. It's apparently slightly lower on its standard suspension by 10mm, although on the M Sport suspension I'm not so sure. And it has a slightly stiffer chassis than the 3 Series. So overall, it should be very slightly sportier. The only downside is it's a little bit heavier as well, so I think they're probably going to cancel each other out a little bit. But it's going to be interesting to see what it's like driving around town and on some B roads. Going over bumps though, there's no perceivable difference between this and a 3 Series. Typical BMW, sporty, not super harsh, just like well predicted for a like not sporty car, but sporty-ish car. Steering's nice and light, throttle, brake pedal all have nice weights to them. Interior is stunning to look at. Not my colour of choice. I'd probably go for cognac or something, but that's just me being old, isn't it? Oh, the other difference is that you sit slightly lower than the 3 Series, and the windscreen is at a slightly lower angle as well, so it gives you that feeling of like a slightly sportier car. Can I notice it though? I can actually. Just the windscreen I can notice. The seating position doesn't feel any lower to me at all, but the windscreen does feel slightly like more raked towards me, which makes you feel like more closed in the car. One thing I want to check actually, both the 3 Series I reviewed had adaptive suspension. So if I put this in sports, oh yeah, this does have sport suspension as well. So it seems all the M Sport 3 Series and 4 Series seem to have adaptive dampers, which I didn't know. Then you've got the ridiculous heavy steering that BMW seem to love. In terms of parking, fairly similar size as the 3 Series. Got a reverse camera with parking sensors on the front, the back, and then imitation sensors on the side. So if you're not moving forwards or backwards, there's actually no sensors there, but what it's doing is reading what was there before and using predictive technology to actually like predict what's there. It's quite hard to explain, but it does work. Getting to a space is nice and easy. Only thing you have to watch with the 4 Series Coupe is you've got pretty long doors, so getting in and out can be a struggle. You can just about get to the first like notch on the door to get out fairly easily, but it's not as easy as the 3 Series is. It's certainly as easy to drive though, and it is a very nice thing to drive. See what this thing is like out of a junction. Okay, this doesn't have the mild hybrid system, so we're going to see if the start-stop is quick enough. Half throttle now. Mild hybrid system does make it quite a bit better, I have to say. And it just takes a little bit too long to react. And the thing is, if you see a gap in traffic, especially in a place like London, it's much nicer having the mild hybrid system where you just put your foot down and it just goes straight away. You're not waiting for anything. So it does mean you have to wait a little bit longer for this car to just pick up the pace a bit. Once you're moving though, this B48 engine is a masterpiece. It is absolutely brilliant for a 2-litre engine. It just has loads of low-down grunt, and it's like relaxing to drive. It feels like a bigger engine than it is really. Right, let's reset our drip computer, see what MPG we get on the motorway. Now, when we get on the motorway, we're only going to have a very quick chat about road noise and wind noise and stuff, and then we'll get straight onto some B-road driving, because I'm quite excited to see if this is any different. In fact, we're going to have a little taste of the handling round about now. Right, into sports, individual, so we've got the stiffer suspension and heavier steering, and traction into sports as well. And then we're going to put the gearbox in sports as well, not manual, just in sports to see how it reacts. One thing I'm noticing though, this car does feel very solid. Not necessarily stiffer, but just more solid than a 3 Series. And that 3 Series is very solid. Alright, let's see what happens. Oh, I love BMWs. They're so much fun. And I think the old 4 Series really struggled to do that. This B48 just has that low-down grunt that you need to just have a little bit of fun. And that's the thing about BMWs, they let you have fun, but they don't let you go too crazy, unless it's a M4. Those do let you go crazy. But it just has this wonderful, like, predictable balance that not a lot of cars have. BMW always seem to nail that. Like, no matter what mode you're in, you can turn the traction fully off, and you could be a pretty novice driver in something like this, and it just makes you feel at home. You you can tell what the car's doing. And it means even when you're driving it normally, like if a scary situation happens in front of you, it gives you so much confidence to just like throw the car around and, you know, try and avoid hitting anything. Right, enough waffle anyway, let's go into Eco Pro and see what MPG we can get. The 3 Series we reviewed, I think that did 47 miles per gallon, which is better than the previous, what is it F80 3 Series? I can never remember. But the previous generation 3 Series. So, hopefully we can get a similar figure in this. Although this being slightly heavier, I think it'll probably do around 45 maximum. But we'll find out. Okay, let's see how it is coming onto the motorway. There's a lorry in front of us. I'm not going to try and overtake him. So in Eco, just give it a little tickle of the throttle. You can see it just builds speed nicely. Again, this B48, that's where it's a lot better. It's that low down grunt over the previous engine. The torque just, it definitely comes in a lot sooner than BMW are saying. And I'm literally just tickling the throttle, barely even touching it. It's very quiet on the motorway, this. Road noise and wind noise are very low, fairly similar to the 3 Series, but for some reason, because this is a coupe, it seems even lower. I don't know why. Get the cruise control on, and we can chill out. This actually has lane assist as well, and I do believe it's the full lane assist. So if I take my hands off the wheel, it should... no, yeah, okay. It does take the wheel off you eventually. It's not like a full autonomous driving system though. But comfort is extraordinary in this. This is wonderful. This is almost as quiet as the 5 Series Estate we reviewed. By the way, if you want to see that, I will put a link in the top right hand corner. Oh, this is nice. Seats are nice and comfortable. I can get the exact position right. I have to say this is a lot nicer than the previous generation. Surprisingly, a lot nicer actually. Really quiet on the motorway. Okay, we're going to do another sort of like 15 to 20 miles on the motorway, and then I will come back to you in 15 to 20 minutes to see what our final MPG figure is. Well, firstly, I'm an idiot because I just realised about most of the way through that journey I had the gearbox in its sport setting, so we were sitting in 6th gear for a lot of that. On a positive note though, I am in drive now and we are averaging over 45 mpg. So even if you leave the gearbox in a sportier setting, you're still going to get a really decent MPG figure. So I'm confident on a longer journey, if you sit between 60 and 70, I think you might get over 50 miles per gallon out of this thing, which is pretty decent. And it's actually about the same as the 3 Series. It does seem to be just as efficient. So my predictions of it being slightly heavier and slightly less efficient are unfounded, actually. Look at that, still going up now. Now I'm in drive, in the right setting. It keeps going up. Anyway, we are going to destroy that figure now, get it back into sports, and see how this thing handles around some B roads. Okay, we're going to start off in comfort, just because I want to listen to how much fake noise comes into the cabin. Take control of the gearbox manually. So, in comfort now, let me put my foot down. It sounds like your bog standard, pretty average 2-litre engine, right? Okay, once these two figure out where they want to go, we're going to go into sports, and when I put my foot down now, you're going to hear quite the difference in engine tone. Are you ready? It sounds like weird, like not like a 2-litre engine, really. this thing. Weird that it was a bit slower than the 320i. But the handling certainly feels good. Wow, nice balance to the chassis. A little bit of understeer, underturn in. Nothing you cannot fix with a bit of power though. And the fake noise makes it feel faster than it is. It's way too much fake noise though. BMW, that just sounds awful to me, honestly. It's like pretending to be, I don't know, almost like a B58 inline 6. Very strange. One thing you can't fault though is the gearbox, because it just chops through gears as you want them. Shift down, yep, very good. Shift up, yep, very good. Can't complain at all there. Coming around corners like this, oh, it digs in nicely actually. Higher speeds is where you notice that slightly stiffer chassis. It just digs, the front end digs into the tarmac a little bit better. To me though, this doesn't feel as stiff as the 3 Series did. Maybe it's the extra bit of weight, but something definitely feels slightly different. Let me just make sure in Sports Individual. Okay, we've definitely got the sporty suspension on now. Let's just double check, make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. Okay. It definitely feels softer. Interesting. Let me know in the comments below what you think that might be. I'm thinking it's the extra bit of weight that is just making the suspension work a little bit harder, maybe. Definitely feels softer though. Alright, let's test the brakes. Yes, M Sport brakes are always very good. Can't fault them at all. God, that pothole is massive there now. That's been there for a long time, Council. Should be fixing that. Just the balance of this thing is so nice. It just wants to sit at that angle in a corner. And the torque of this B48, calm. I mean, it's a great engine. Does run out a little bit, sort of like just above 6,000. And for some reason, if you leave the gearbox in sports, it revs it to 6.5, and it really doesn't need to. But as soon as you get to like 5,800, 6,000 RPM, it runs out of puff completely. I mean, most 2-litre engines do really, don't they? It handles so nicely though. Just sharp, responsive, cannot fault it at all. If there wasn't traffic, you could have a bit more fun, but gotta be safe at the end of the day. The handling is sublime, is the way I'd describe it. These G-Series BMWs, man, they are something special. I do think this is going to be the last generation of like true petrol head BMWs. If you're lucky enough to get the M4 version of this, or the M440i even, I would be keeping that a long, long time, especially the M4. Can't imagine how good one of those is. Anyway, let's get on to a tighter B road and see what that's like. One thing I want to point out that they fixed is this seatbelt helper. Much better design, BMW. The last one was completely useless. Right, let's get on to a B road. Nice rotation from the rear there. This is where this engine's very good. It just has all that torque at 3,000. because even though it's not a rocket ship, it's not slow either. It had almost no steering input there, and the car just always knows where you want to go. It's quite weird. Oh, what a fantastic bit of kit. Okay, sort of launch, and we get to 60 before the corner. Sort of. There's a van coming the other way, so I had to bail out there. Again, you can just place it where you want it. This chassis is awesome. Over the bump. Oh, what a weapon. It changes direction so well. It's that millimetre precision. Okay, one final time. Even a bit of wheel spin in first gear there. Not something you usually get in a 420i. Oh, it's a bit of a B-road weapon. What a cracking bit of kit. Suspension, steering, brakes, they just all work in unison to give you an absolutely awesome driving experience. Again, there is just nothing that I can fault with this car. Every single aspect is just good. The technology, the design, fuel economy, even though we're running out of fuel now, is pretty decent when you put it in drive, not leave it in sports. Comfort, quality, you name it, it's got it. They really have just nailed this car. Oh, apart from the front grille. I mean, maybe the design team were told, like, look, guys, this car is so good, we're going to have something that's just not quite right with it. So they chose that. If I was going to be super critical, I would change how thick the steering wheel is. I'd make it very slightly thinner. I would change the grille. I would just have kept the 3 Series grille. I think that looks really nice. And, I mean, have a different design for the dash. I've mentioned that before, but I'll mention it again. That's literally the only things I'd change. If you guys are looking to buy a coupe, I probably wouldn't even consider Audi or Mercedes at this point. This G Series, like 4 Series, is just impeccable. But it's time for a conclusion then. Well, I think I about summed it up, really. After thinking about it, I really do think this is one of the best coupes on the market. So, if you can get over the grille, then this is the coupe for you. God, I just can't believe how good this thing is. Anyway, if you enjoyed this review, please give it a like, and why not subscribe, as not only can you see more content like this, you can see everything we have for sale. My name's Tom, and you've been watching Paragon Cars. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.